What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JG's Lounge for another episode of Singed Eye Sockets. I'm your host, Jukebox, and this is like episode 10 or 11. I'm not really sure which one yet. Evolution was asking right before we started. But it's so much fun. This is probably, of all the shows, this is my favorite. I do the most research as far as my shows that I host, which actually at this point, I feel like there's three of us that host the show because, you know, we're at every one of them. Evolution to my left, man. How you doing?
Doing great, man. It's been a good day so far. Looking forward to the new adventure that we might have to be involved with today. But I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, me and Evolution just launched our newest show, Consistently Inconsistent. It was his idea to kind of partner up and host something together. And, you know, you want to kind of give everybody a real quick rundown of what the show's about?
Well, sure.
I was not prepared for this, and now I'm on the spot.
No, I was just brainstorming one day, and I was like, I want to do another show. I have an idea. I approached Poetics with an idea of a new show, and he didn't have time for that. And I approached you about the idea of a new show, and you said, I don't have enough time. And I'm like, okay. Next thing I know, you got graphics and everything else ready to go. So Consistently Inconsistent is about.
I enjoy doing this stuff, man. I mean,
yeah. Go ahead and break it down, Jukebox. You explain it in a way that I like the way you explain it. Go ahead and do that.
Okay, so okay, all right. So the point of Consistently Inconsistent is I told him, I was like, I can't commit to like a certain time slot a week. I got too much going on. There's no way. I'd love to do it, but I can't commit. So I said, let's just do a show that's literally not consistent. And that's how we came up with it. And then we kind of bounced a couple ideas back and forth on what we could do. And then I said, well, why don't we do life topics that are not consistent? So we each find 3 topics and we just kind of show our views on them. And that's the show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. First one went pretty good, and looking forward to the second one.
Yeah. And then Sean, man, of course I can't forget you. He's the other co-host for Singed Eye Sockets, man. You've been really busy. Kind of fill everybody in, man.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple months. Typically during the summer months, comedy settles down, but it has not been the case. I taped my first TV special a couple weeks ago. I did an East Coast tour last week. Next week, I'm going back out on a small tour with about 5 other headliners from around the nation. And on top of that, I teach college. I'm an author. I've got 2 casts, which actually next week I'm going to be recording both a Redemption and a Blurred Lines. So that's going to be very exciting. I found another guy that's I'm not even going to call him a conspiracy theorist. He's just another dot connector. That's going to be very excited to be on the cast with me. And I've just been loving it. And I finally stepped up to admin status here, so I'm very excited about that too. So
yes,
lots of good stuff, man.
It is
awesome. So Sean, I'm looking forward to you adding to your light load a show with me.
It'll be you guys on your phones just traveling from place to place because you're too busy to do a show together.
Well, oddly enough, I'm also one of the projects I'm working on is a TV series with a comic from New York, and we just met with some funders the other day and made it to the next step in the process. So, man, who knows? I'm just grateful for everything that's happening.
Nice. Right. Congrats on all that, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Staying busy. Thomas, man, it's been a while since you've been on the show. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been everything's been going well recently. A few lifestyle changes, some changes in schedules, and I don't know, man. It's kind of taken a different tone, so it's been really good lately. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm really happy you guys have kind of taken off here. I mean, things are really going well. I mean, individually and together. So I'm just really happy to be part of it. So
We found that we work great together. So we do a lot of shows together, and I think we've gotten so comfortable we don't have guests on very much. Usually just
If I may, though, not to be the one of these things is not like the others, but folks, if you'll notice, I have this is all me. All right, this is all Sean Shank reality. I don't know what's going on with your augmented reality plaid background. I'm at my grandma's house with Evolution green screen stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, it's 100% Sean Shank from this camera. Just throwing that out there.
this is my library, guys.
so well read.
Yeah. Sean, you got me over
Yeah, this is mine. There you go.
True. It's a very nice clock, by the way.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, it came from a guy named Ryan Babb who works at Black Label Chronometers. See, it's like I feel like every time I say that, he grabs it.
I got it, man. It's great.
Work, though, man. Look at that.
Great.
It's so clean looking.
That's
man.
awesome.
It does.
He hand cut every single one of those. Like, you guys need to get one from him for your different casts, man. I'm telling you, he does
That's
great.
great. I love it.
Shoot
I
me the
need to-
information,
I
and I'll take it. I'll get
I just
it
don't
done.
know where to squeeze it in between all these books.
Well, I'll tell you what. The thing that you guys are missing is, I've got. Where do I have my? I've got a special thing that I keep it on my shelf unless kids stole it. They stole my.
You better not whip
furniture.
around with the middle finger. I swear.
I am not. I would not be so crass or to do such a thing. I think one of my special props is gone. You know what? Move on.
This segment's actually called
This is dead
Show
air.
and Tell with Sean. This is MTV Cribs with Sean.
Yes. Like, okay, so this is my power up mushroom. See,
Nice,
I like it.
that's that.
nice.
Those, apparently I've got a camera watching me in here now. That's creepy. I put this in here. All right. Always looking, always watching. All right.
All right. Are we ready to get into tonight's case?
Let's
I'm
get
ready.
it.
Let's do
All
it,
right.
boys.
So this is the death of Franchesca Alvarado. And before I get too much into this, I did a lot of research through some news articles, listen to some podcasts. A majority of this information that I do have is from a podcast called Crime Junkies. It's two women, and I don't want to say that I got all of the information from them, but most of the stuff that I researched was in their podcast episode, and a lot of this will kind of overlay. And I don't want to say that I'm stealing any of the content, because I think the flow of this show is being a live interactive show. We're going to have different perspectives on things, so it's not going to be exactly the same. But I want to make sure that I let everybody know up front that a lot of the information I got was from Crime Junkies. So thank you guys for doing such a great show. And I don't want to take, anything out of context and make anybody upset. So, all right. So this is Franchesca Alvarado. She's 22 when she goes missing. And she lives in Philly. This is her two sisters. The one in the middle is going to be her older sister, Tina. And the one on the far right is Mia. Mia and Franchesca are like inseparable, even though they don't live with each other. They talk to each other every day. Just very close sisters. They lost their dad when Franchesca was 1 year old. He got incarcerated and he's still in prison today. So Tina adopted both the sisters, so they all grew up together.
Wow.
And Francesca's great. This story's more, you're not really going to hear too much about Tina. It's mostly Mia that's leads the investigation when she disappears, as far as working with the cops and everything. You don't really hear much about Tina, although I'm sure she was part of, looking for her sister. And even today, because this is an unsolved case. So through high school, Franchesca is a very well known kid, very smart. Several of her teachers talk about how she's gifted, great grades. And then this is where this is mostly all that we know about the childhood. When she was 9, her mom died. So it's literally just been the sisters. At the age of 22, she is living with her roommate, whose name is not given in any of the research that I was given, that I did. So we're just gonna say roommate, whatever. We'll just call her what it is. The other shows, make fake names. I don't want to go into all that. So, her roommate is only 17, but her parents own the townhouse that they live in. So she's living with Franchesca. I don't know how they met, maybe through school or whatever. But Franchesca has a 3-year-old daughter at the age of 22. And she is also 8 weeks pregnant at the time that she disappears.
Okay.
So on March 19th, if you look at this missing report is for the 17th. This is the date that, well, I'll go a little bit more into that in a minute. On the 19th, her sister, Mia, hasn't heard from her sister in 2 days. And it's a Monday. So she's getting ready to head to school, and she's asked her friend, one of her guy friends, hey, can you go over to Francesca's house and check on her? I haven't heard from her. So he does. And he calls her when he gets there and hands the phone over to a female, but it's not Franchesca. It's Francesca's roommate. And she says that on the 17th, Franchesca and their friend Tracy went to Atlantic City. Atlantic City from Philadelphia is like an hour drive, give or take, I'm guessing, where you're at. At least that's what all the articles say. They live on the east side of Philly. So I don't know. I don't know how familiar any of you are with the East Coast. But it says it's about an hour drive from where they live. Okay. And she goes there with her friend Tracy, who's about a 50-year-old guy, early 50s, based on the articles. There's a few different ages I got. And apparently there's no like physical relationship between the two. As a matter of fact, he's just a friend of Franchesca and Tara's boyfriends. The thing about Franchesca and Tara is their boyfriends are brothers. So the boyfriends are over all the time. They're all hanging out in the townhouse. Tracy's a friend of them. So they're always a big group. So it wasn't weird that Tracy and her were going out of town. He even brought a couple of his kids. Apparently his oldest was 10. And so they go. Now, when the roommate answers the phone, she says that they left on the 17th and they're going to be gone for a few weeks. Now, this automatically kind of sparked a confusion with Mia, because Mia's like, well, she still would have communicated with me, and she hadn't heard from her in a couple days. So I'm trying to think here. So she said, so they're gone and also on the 20th, Francesca's supposed to have an appointment with the doctor to check up on her pregnancy. So she already had stuff planned. There was no reason for her to just dip out of town for several weeks.
Check up on like a current pregnancy, or see?
Yeah, she's currently 8 weeks pregnant when she disappears.
Okay.
And so her sister was going to go with her to her appointment. So she's like, this doesn't make sense. And again, she's got a 3-year-old daughter that's staying with a friend. So that happened on Saturday, the 17th, that she left. That following Friday, Mia decides to give it a couple days, because she's like, okay, she is an adult. It's only been 2 days. Maybe she's just having a really good time in Atlantic City, so she's just going to come back. On that Friday, Mia is done, because at this point, she now has her 3-year-old daughter. Her 3-year-old daughter is like, I miss mommy. Where's she at? So she calls the police. And at first, the police are not that big a help, because she's an adult. You can't really just say somebody's missing for within a certain amount of time.
Right.
I don't know all the details, but I know that she has a hard time getting the police to even look into this because of the fact that she's 22. So she reports that on Friday, which is the 23rd at this point. On the 24th, Tracy, the guy who went with her to Atlantic City, shows up to the police department. And he tells them that he's been back in town since the 18th, and they were only supposed to be there for 1 day.
Ooh.
Right. And this actually correlates because they questioned his kids that went too. And they said that on Friday night when they went to Atlantic City, they went to the hotel. They changed hotel rooms because he wasn't happy with the hotel. And even the kids verify. And they said they went to sleep that night. They woke up and Franchesca was gone. So up to this point, do you guys have any questions, or are we kind of getting a layout of everything?
I want to make sure I heard right. So you said when the roommate was on the phone explaining that they had left town, that they were planning on going about an hour away to Atlantic City for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
When was the last time you spent a couple of weeks an hour away from your home?
Right. And that got me too. I didn't catch it right off the bat, but after researching some things, I was like, that's not, an hour drive is not that far.
Right.
That's like, for us that live around here, a 3-hour drive to Branson is not that far. Right. I could do that and come back 2 weeks later. I don't need to be there for several weeks.
Right.
I was just out on the East Coast, and between Philly and at least it's a stone's throw. There's no reason they could go back and forth every single day, right between the cities. And I'm familiar with the layout. I'm pretty familiar with the layout of the area, so this is confusing as to why somebody's going to be ditching. And because from where I'm at, like as an example, I live, here in Michigan, about right there. And for me to get up to the coast of Lake Michigan, it's about 47 minutes, right, from my driveway to the coast. So if the excuse was, oh, we want to go out and be by the ocean, it's like, dude, you could go out and be by the ocean every single day, right, after work and come back home. So 2 weeks, I'm just not like that. Immediately was pricking up my red flag. So there's a lot that's just already weird here.
Yeah. So what do you got? You got anything, Evolution?
Absolutely. What got my mental thought process running wild was she left a 3-year-old and she had a doctor's appointment. She wasn't, I guess, in my opinion, planning on me going that long. I don't know anyone in the right frame of mind who would plan on being gone for a couple weeks or more away from a 3-year-old child. And then to be expecting and have a doctor's appointment, that's something you really don't want to miss, especially that early in the game. So, and with the roommate, I guess looking at it like that, or saying that she planned on being gone that long, that's kind of like foul play, because the sister's like, wait a minute, we're tighter than that. We talk every day. Something's not right. So it's a lot of red flags I'm pulling out of this.
Yes. And I think the hardest part that I took away from the beginning of this with Mia going to the police and them saying, well, she's an adult, is that's probably exactly how it goes. So you can't really, if it was a kid, it's probably a little different than if you're an adult, The other thing is Atlantic City's in a totally different state, correct, than Philadelphia?
Yes. Yeah, it's you're crossing the border into New Jersey, and you're right on the coast of Atlantic.
So during this time in 2012, the city of Atlantic City is trying to kind of rebrand and give themselves a new image. So they're trying to make it like a family-friendly city. So when Mia reaches out to Atlantic City, they're saying they're going to help, but at the same thing, they can't really, set up a missing case. So Mia's like, okay, I'm going to go out there. So she goes out there with some flyers. She's asking around on the boardwalk about her sister. And she even hangs up some flyers. Well, immediately after that, like within a few days of her going back, the flyers are gone. The police say that they took them down because they're trying to have a certain image. So they don't want her going out there. Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
They say they are looking into the case, but they don't want to make a big deal about it because, again, she's not technically considered missing. And they don't want that image out there. Okay. But again, they are helping. So they do find out that after talking to the hotel clerk that they did actually stay there that night. She remembers switching the rooms, and she remembers later on Franchesca and another younger lady coming up and asking if there's anywhere to party without an ID. Now, Franchesca's 22,
Right.
so that would mean that whoever she's with is clearly underage. They're trying to find somewhere to go to hang out, but there's no mention of the oldest kid that he brought was 10. So this is the first we've heard of another girl.
Yeah.
My initial impressions of all this so far, and I don't want to like jump ahead or anything like that, but my initial impression is that like her roommate back in Philly, right? She started in Philly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some other people are like covering for her, like she's not trying to be found, like she's trying to make an escape, like she's like deep in a hole and is trying to get out. So it's like almost like she kind of has like, like loaded these people up with these weird alibis that don't quite make sense just yet.
Right.
So there's like a lot of holes to poke in these because she's trying to make some great escape and buy some time. I don't know anything about this particular case. Like this is the first I've heard of any of it. I'm not familiar with it at all. So I'm just kind of like letting my mind wander here. So
no, of course. That's the whole point of the show, actually.
Yeah. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, but you're flying in the face of some like massive maternal instincts though, because she's ditched her 3-year-old daughter, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And granted it's with her sister, so maybe so then if we let's go down this rabbit hole that he's talking about. What is she escaping, right? Because I understand what the police are saying.
3-year-old. A 3-year-old and a new baby.
Kids are terrible.
And if I'm making an escape, I'm not dragging a toddler around with me.
Fair enough.
Wow.
Well, but okay, so she's escaping. It's not illegal for her to be gone. That's the thing. You'll hear from the police. They'll literally tell you it is not illegal to just leave. All right. And so that's why they're saying there's not a lot we can do. Adults can leave. They don't want to be in their life anymore. Like I could just piss off in my own life right now, and there's nothing illegal about it except for the debts that I owe. Right. They'll have to chase me.
What if you were to frame it as like a kidnapping though? What if they said, "Hey, I think my daughter's been kidnapped," even as an adult? Would that hold like more weight than like I think she might be missing? Like, because that means she could have fell in a creek and drowned, or she could have skipped town, or she could have whatever. But if you say, "Hey, cops, I think my daughter's been kidnapped," they're like, "Oh crap, that's a crime. We'll pursue it further." I don't know. I'm just.
I feel like it would depend on what kind of evidence you had. Like if you just said it, like I'm sure they'd question it. They'd like question you and then determine it by that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So the only person that's last seen her is Tracy. So obviously the cops first are looking more towards him, at least in Philly. They even asked him to do polygraph, which he immediately asked for an attorney. And once he hires an attorney, the attorney says, don't do a polygraph and don't tell him anything else. So he is no longer really a resource at this point during the investigation. But the last thing that Tracy did tell them was that it was like 2 a.m. When she said she wanted to go for a walk and that she'd find her own way home. This is what his words were, which doesn't really make sense. Again, I know it's only an hour away. He says that there was no argument or anything. She just said that she wanted to go out for a walk and she didn't need company and she'd find her own way home. And that's the last he saw her, according to him.
Okay, remind me again the relationship of this Tracy.
Tracy is a friend of the boyfriend's. So you got Franchesca and her roommate.
Right.
Francesca's current boyfriend and the one that she's pregnant with is William, which we'll get more into details about him here shortly. Okay. And then his brother, which you don't know his name, is the boyfriend of the roommate, which, again, don't know her name. Okay. And it's the roommate's parents' townhouse. She lives there with Franchesca, and the boyfriends are over there all the time. Tracy's just a good friend of theirs. Okay. So, yeah, that's what we got so far. The family and the Philadelphia police decide, hey, we're going to set up a $25,000 reward for any information on her. And they're even going as far as making a Facebook page, getting a bunch of followers, going back to the boardwalk, offering the money for any information, and nothing turns up. Nobody comes forward about any information. Let's see here.
I got a theory that kind of builds off of what Thomas was saying. She's 22. She's got a 3-year-old, and she's expecting again.
Mhm.
Everybody in that household is younger than her, right?
Right. Well, we
So-
don't know about the boyfriends.
Okay.
Or we know that Tracy's an older guy in his 50s, and that he gets around with the boyfriends. Like they're friends.
That right there to me is weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
I'm just thinking it's a lot of chaos in that household, especially when you got a 3-year-old. And I'm guessing nobody else has kids in the house.
No, not that you know of.
I
Not
don't
that they
think we
talk
know.
about.
Tracy had some kids, right?
Tracy does. He doesn't live there though. He just has kids. Yeah.
Just has kids. Okay, the 10-year-old and the other. Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Okay.
So we do find out that William has sort of a criminal, but he's got a criminal background with like theft and robbery and stuff like that. And even Mia talks about how Franchesca and her call him Mr. Wrong and how they get in fights a lot. And there's been several times where Franchesca even mentioned leaving him. But there's he was between the story of the roommate and the story of Tracy, he was never mentioned as that being there as of right now. And again, so they have no information that was received. The police go through her Francesca's room at the townhouse, and they don't turn up anything. A few days after that, Mia decides to go and finds a pair of pants on the ground and decides to search the pockets and finds her ID and several access cards, which the police were trying to monitor to see if there was any activity on, and there was nothing. But this would also give information as to why she was asking for somewhere to go underage, because she didn't have her ID on her.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Yes.
So they went to Atlantic City, randomly were just walking along and went, oh, a pair of pants. Mayhaps they're hers. Rifled through them, and it just happened to have her ID and
it says that this is what Mia finds.
Oh.
Yeah, Mia finds these. I don't know. Maybe they're on the floor. I don't know. The police didn't find it, but she sure did. So
Wow. Scouring the city.
So that, I mean, a couple things that kind of trigger me is either she had them and then at some point between all of this, she came back and then disappeared, or she just left it there altogether. But you're going to Atlantic City to have a good time or whatever, and you just forget that stuff. I don't know. That's kind of weird to me.
Well, his story is full of shit, first of all, because 2:00 in the morning, you're not just going to randomly go off. And like, I've been out to that boardwalk a few times, and during the day it's nice enough, it's okay down by the resorts and everything else, right? But 2:00 in the morning, she's just going to walk off into the darkness, and I'm fine. Like, none of any of this makes sense unless we're going with what Thomas said, and she's trying to escape.
So one thing about Atlantic City, and this is where the Atlantic City police start developing this theory that she gets trafficked into sex trafficking. Apparently Atlantic City is like second from Vegas for being known for sex trafficking.
Yep. And that's the first thing I thought about. But go ahead.
I 100% disagree. I was just there and nobody trafficked me. So move on.
Living proof.
Thank you, sir. He sees it.
But was it 2 a.m. when you were walking, Sean?
Dude, I was putting my wares out there all times of the day. Nobody was picking up on this.
That's good.
Oh,
So this is about July of 2013 when they decide to start looking at this so this is damn near a year later that they're like, okay, we're not getting information, so let's kind of change kind of how we're going to go about this. So they found that there's a known security guard that works for the same hotel that he was known to work with traffickers. Like he got busted for working with sex traffickers. So they found out from this guy that around this time he was working with William, and this new guy, a new suspect, comes up by the name of Jarrell. They call him Jinx, and he is known, and he is somebody that they've been watching for a while for sex trafficking, but says that he was working with Jinx and William, and that William and Jinx were discussing one of their workers not wanting to work for them anymore, and that Will had taken them to a Jersey shore and buried them. This is weird because William, they know that he's the boyfriend, right? And then this new guy, Gerald, shows up, and Tracy never mentioned anything about him. But when they start discussing the idea of possible trafficking, the sister's looking at a lot of news articles and stuff like that, and she finds that a fisherman had found, and this is August of 2013, so a month later after they're kind of starting to look into it, she finds a news article from a fisherman who found a shoe with a foot still in it.
Hell yeah.
And it still had some toenail polish on it, and there's even a picture of the shoe. And this gets Mia going because this is a black high top Adidas shoe that she hated, and she used to talk so much shit to Franchesca about because she's like, I can't believe you wear those. And Franchesca loved those shoes, so she's like, I know right away that that's her shoe.
Okay.
So Jersey takes it into the lab, does investigation, and a week later they say, hey, that's your sister's foot.
Jeez.
But she's still not considered dead because it's just a foot, and a human being can still be
only a foot. It's just a foot.
It's just a foot, right?
It was a year ago, right? She's okay. Jeez.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Oh.
So yeah, I mean, we're starting to kind of like, obviously the sex trafficking is starting to sound more and more right. This hotel security guard is giving them some pretty good information. The only thing was that he said that she was a white woman. That's the only part of the information that doesn't really line up with the story. So they're like, this is probably still, and they found this information now. So it's most likely this guy's accurate.
Okay.
So in January 24th, a femur is found on the shore. This is the following year, along with a tibia found several days later. And after all the lab results come back, those are also her.
Jeez.
But not dead yet.
Useless.
Still not dead.
I'm just saying.
We know it's her, but she's not dead. She can still be out there. These are just bone parts. That's all.
Well, okay.
Hey,
so
if she's getting trafficked, it is awfully hard to get away with only one leg.
This is true.
Yes, and that is a very specific niche for OnlyFans. I'm not
Right.
trying. Yeah, god dang, guys, this is a missing person. I gotta dial back because like my joke thing is on overdrive right now. This poor.
Oh man.
No, go. Let's go.
Let it ride.
We're getting into like the ending, and this is where it gets pretty. Actually, the ending is great, but yeah, go ahead.
Don't tell me this is where it gets weird, dude. We've found ghost pants, foot, just random foot from some fisherman, and a fib and a tib, right?
Right.
And this, okay. First, now when you say it was Jersey Shore, do you just mean on the new Jersey Shore? Are you talking like Seaside, Jersey Shore, where like Snooki and all that crap was?
There was a name for the beach. I didn't really see. I just know it was in New Jersey. So
Okay.
I'm just so heavily remembering an episode of It's Always Sunny when they go to the Jersey Shore and they walk under the boardwalk and there's two hobos doing it underneath. And I just keep running that scene over and over in my head right now as we talk about this. So that's where I'm at.
And one of the articles says it's 45 minutes north of Atlantic City. So it's a shoreline up that way.
That's then that's the area then, and it's I would liken it to going to any of the local county fairs in rural Indiana just with a lot of slick back hair, tank tops, and hey, oh, that guy, eh?
All right. That was good. Thank you.
A bit methy.
What you got, Evolution? You got anything so far?
Only bits and pieces so far.
God dang it.
That's good.
Trying to gather everything and put it back together.
Right.
So yeah, I'm thinking it obviously that she's probably with William and Jinx caught up in something that led to something obviously that separated everything from being one piece. Yeah, I'm just thinking that we got a little mystery that's being solved, one piece at a time.
Right.
It's
coming along. It's coming along. You're getting there.
Did you see what the viewer chimed in? One of our viewers chimed in.
The useless foot. Yeah.
That's not. We don't need that one.
Yeah. We know it's her, but that doesn't mean anything.
Jeez. Do you know if she was a righty or a lefty? Who knows?
If you're gonna take.
What foot dominant is she?
So in 2016 they do a celebration of life, all the followers and everything. They finally get to, they take the pieces that they do have of the sister because they know they belong to her, and they bury her with their mother. And then Janet, we appreciate you with all the very hilarious responses in the chat. She just said free feet pics. Like,
hell yeah, brother.
Trying to be so wholesome right now.
This is a business opportunity, Sean.
But so they bury, but again, there's a lot of pieces, and none of it's like confirmed at this point. It's still an investigation. And 2 years later, in the spring of 2018, some FBI investigators get in contact with Mia, and they said, look, we had the pieces. This is what we do know. And nothing is confirmed, but they said in the summer of 2013, a teen sex worker was in an altercation at a hotel when the cop showed up and realized that she was underage, and they brought her in for questioning. So this is a totally different teenage girl that was arrested in the summer of 2013. Now, what they tell her is where things start to sort of mend together. In 2012, shortly after Franchesca went missing, this teen moved to Philly to live with her father. The stepmom was pressing her to get a job. So she started working at a bar, and she was working a lot of hours, and vented to one of her friends about how much, or one of her coworkers, how much she just didn't care for her stepmom. And she offers for her to come live with her. That coworker happens to be Franchesca's roommate. So, hey, she's got a free room. She can come stay with them, right? A couple months after she moves in, the roommate asks for this girl to go with her to run an errand. And she says that she is taken to an apartment where William and Jarrell close it and pull a gun on her, take all of her belongings, and tell her that she works for them now. Yes. So now you got her boyfriend involved in this sex trafficking, Francesca's, boyfriend. And she says that the roommate was in on it. Like, it was obvious that she was a part of it.
It's the whole business.
Yes.
She says that over the course of the next several months till this point, she was drugged, beaten, and held captive, and was a sex worker. She said that the roommate, which was also Francesca's at that point, was free to come and go. She said it seemed like she was involved in the sex work as well, but she had a lot more freedom than she did. And it just sort of makes what could have happened to Franchesca that much more weird, because that's all that they know. Like, that's it. she says that she never met Franchesca, but she had heard the name before, and that she was pretty sure Will was her pimp. But that's where the case ends. That's all the information that is ever comes up. This was never been officially closed case.
I'm wondering. So unfortunately, I don't know much about sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Wah wah. But
how could you not know that? I'm just kidding.
But like, I'm a little bit curious as as far as like the process. Like, are these girls that they are taking captive? Are they given like pet names? Like, what kind of drugs are they being fed or forced to take, or what kind of like state of mind are they typically in? I mean, obviously, there's got to be some form of like a brainwashing, to happen in some degree, right? Unless they're just chained up, right?
Well, so because when I was a kid though, and I was beaten, by my stepfather, and he would always threaten, like if we said anything or did anything, even to my mom,
Right.
he'd kill us, and so
Right.
I mean, it was more of like a fear factor for us, and that's just from my view of it as a kid.
Right. Well, I'm just wondering if like this girl, maybe she did see Franchesca, but she didn't know anybody named Franchesca because they had
Right.
sort of like an alias, a pet name. I don't know. They were blindfolded. They were, whatever.
Well, and even worse is that we know that Francesca's roommate is only 17 when she lived with them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to be involved,
I mean, this would have had to have been something like that she had known for years, even at that young age. It would probably had to have been like a normal operation for her. This is something that she probably had been groomed into. Just that's what she knows, and I don't know. I just don't feel like no normal adult would be like, oh yeah, trafficking, yeah, sign me up. Where can I invest? I just feel like that's something that would have to start early on for you to be like used to this kind of thing.
Right.
So you're suggesting human trafficking is a pyramid scheme like Amway?
Yeah.
It's just more forced. It's more forced on you. That's all.
And the more people you have in your downstream creates more revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, all right. So here's what.
Thank you for explaining how a pyramid works.
Here's what I'm thinking, guys. Unless you're gonna pull another switcheroo on us, JJ.
No, I have a positive note, but I'm gonna tell it at the very end, whenever we get.
Okay. So my guess is that it was all bullshit. Like there was no escape. There was no anything. She got human trafficked, whatever it was. And something went awry. She wasn't happy about the situation, whatever it was. And she got unalived, dumped out in the ocean, and, just through currents, getting eaten on, getting hit by a boat or boats. And that's why she's coming back in pieces. I'm guessing that's what happened. I don't know. It's just, there's too many, like it's like this aggregation of, well, this person's in human trafficking and this person was a sex worker and everybody was connected and everybody knew it, and unless they did the same thing to Franchesca that they did to that younger lady when they were like, give me all your belongings, including your foot, like that's my guess.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if it started out her going willingly. Like, yeah, I do want to get out. I do want a different life. And he's like, hey, baby, I'll take you away forever. I'll give you everything you'll ever need. I'll be your knight in shining armor or whatever. And so she does all these things willingly. So there's not like a struggle. There's not like she's getting dragged in the back room or anything like that. It's like, hey, I've done this 1,000 times. Give me your belongings. Give me your ID. I'll make it go away. People will think that you went missing and that's the end of it. We'll leave them clues and whatever, go start your new life. Or it started out that way and she was like, oh shit, like I'm about to get gangbanged. So I'm not on board with this anymore. And they were like, nah, you're in too deep.
Right.
Yeah.
Give us a foot.
Wow.
Anyway.
Okay. So this is where I'm at to add what everybody else has come up with. She was 22.
Right.
And in that type of environment, that's a little old. And she was also pregnant, which creates another issue.
Right.
So I'm thinking that their target audience was younger, so that they can maneuver or mislead them easier. And because she was 22 and more mature, she had more of a fight back, or she wasn't down with a lot of stuff that they were doing, especially if she's seen other girls who were younger getting treated this way or whatever. So I'm thinking she became a problem, and they solved it by making her a jigsaw puzzle.
I almost think that she was just like a vessel for that unborn kid. Like if that's William's kid, right?
Yeah.
And maybe he is some. I mean, obviously, he's not right in the head. So he has this new kid coming in, right? And they go away for the weekend, and all of a sudden he has taken her into some scenario. Because how long was it before like these bones started showing up? Like a while, right?
It was like
Yeah.
it was the following year.
So they're
Or
taking
it
this
might have been 2 years.
brand new infant child, getting rid of the mom because she's useless to them now, and then from day one grooming this child to be whatever, work for the family business or become like their youngest specimen in their selection or something.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go.
No, you're good. Actually, let me tell you what I think based on just the information that I kept researching. I think that being a pregnant female, if she was not wanting to stay in this, she could have recently gotten in an argument, maybe with one of them, two of them, three of them, or just bitching about the activity going on in the house. And she's like, I need a break. Tracy's like, okay, let's get you out of here. We'll take the kids. We'll take my kids. We'll go to Lake City so you can get a little fresh air. But this isn't really what the plan is from Tracy's end. It's more of, hey, let's get you out of here. And then maybe they go, and then the roommate and her boyfriend and William are like, we got to end her. So they're going to get this hotel, and then we're going to go out there. You're the roommate. You be friends with her. Let's go have a good night out. Maybe she does have her ID. And when they go talk to her, and that younger girl that's with Franchesca is actually a roommate.
Right.
And so she's now taking Franchesca to go somewhere and meets up with Will and his brother, and Gerald or whoever. I don't know if they were all involved in it or not, but they offer and then take her and bury her and then come back. I'm guessing the roommate's got her ID and stuff on her. Like, hey, I'm just going to make it look nonchalant. Maybe that's why the police didn't find it. And she just shoves it in her pants.
So still nothing but a leg, though. We got a leg.
This is the only thing as of today. That's all that has been found. All
right. I want you guys to talk, or else I'm going to keep spiraling down this really fucked up rabbit hole.
That's the whole point of the end of the show. We go down these rabbit holes, man.
Are there sharks in it?
Nothing beats Gypsy Rose's husband being her dead mom. Okay.
Are there sharks in the water?
You saw the picture, Tom's. Right? Dude, it's the same person.
What do you got, Evolution?
I'm just saying there's sharks in the water, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where the rest of Franchesca is.
Yeah. So there is. I mean, if you guys want to keep discussing some ideas before I say the end part, we can, because it's unrelated, but it's at the same time it's pretty cool. But if you guys got anything else you want to do rabbit hole wise, let's get it out of the way now.
I think one of the things that is sticking out with me on this is the situation with the police. Mm-hmm. I understand from one side of it where it's, if somebody, it's just a couple days, dude, they're not missing people. You know what? Some people they get so pissed they want to leave, and that's not abnormal. But then, to do nothing really, and then when body parts start showing up, there's still not, I mean, there's still not a lot that they're just like, well, it is the Jersey Shore. We do find feet, this is our 5th today.
This is a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. Right, exactly.
It's high tide. This is normal. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if a foot shows up, that's problematic, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it almost smacks of that. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie with Sylvester Stallone, Demolition Man, where the new chief was like, "We'll just wait until there's another murder, and then we'll go grab him." It's like we'll just wait until more parts wash up. See, look, there's a femur and a tibia, right? Okay, so we'll just wait till the rest of it comes in, like Evolution said, the jigsaw puzzle, and then we'll put her back together. Like, what is going on with these guys over there?
Well, and I'm still curious because I feel like there's so much you can learn from even like bones being in the water. I mean, you can make a general educated guess on how long this body has been in the water based on how well saturated this bone and tissue is. Yeah. Is there any tissue attached still? Like, is like what stage of decomposition it might be in? Like, is this bone like broken? Is it indicative of like an animal bite or a break from trauma? Is there like I don't know. I just feel like there's so much forensic stuff that's like so unanswered.
They did say they said the foot in the sneaker looked like it naturally detached. There was no cutting involved,
as if this was a decomposed body that it
just kind of came apart. Yeah.
Wow.
So they rotted in the water and just okay.
That's crazy.
So she got dumped then.
Yeah.
But there's something we're missing that I want to bring back to everybody's attention. Sean kind of made me think of this when he started talking about the police. Her sister put a bunch of flyers out, and then the police themselves took them down. So that makes me think that this is a huge operation. And somebody.
Oh snap!
Oh
yes, yes, and somebody's covering up because it's going to lead to them.
Because the mayor's son was on a bender or something.
Well, the guy. So Jarrell does in 22. He confessed to trafficking 5 females. 2 of them were confirmed underage. Franchesca was not one of them. He and then William's been in and out of prison for criminal stuff. I'm gonna assume that the boyfriend of the roommate was too. And actually, even today, William is incarcerated on other charges unrelated. And he again, nobody was pinned for her death.
Wow.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you can't confirm it as a homicide. She could have fell off a boat. Who knows?
Yeah. And that's the long and short of it. But I think, as to what Evolution said, this is something that perhaps bears investigating on a higher level. If the corruption doesn't go up that far, I mean, they still haven't released the client list for Epstein, right?
Right.
So
when you're dealing with 2 different states and 2 different she didn't go your hometown is Philly, but she didn't go missing here. So I mean, there's not a whole lot that they can kind of try to help, but there's only so much they could do. You know?
Jurisdictional issues and whatnot.
And Jersey's over here like, nope, we're family friendly. You can't do any of this shit. Well, we got it. Let us do it. Let us handle it.
I always like watching old cold case files where it's like the 80s, 90s, and like there'll be 2 towns that are like 100 miles away from each other, and they're like, we had a murder here, and they're like, we had a murder too. They're 2 separate murders, definitely. Yeah. I don't know any of those people up there. Like they're like so separated. I would think that there'd be a little bit more like cohesion as far as like your databases, your investigations, what's going on in the area.
Yeah,
it really does seem that like law enforcement is like very, very separated as far as like what territory they deal with, and they can give a shit less about what's going on 100 miles down the road if they're doing stuff. I don't know.
Right. So the little bit of fun fact. So her daughter was 3 when she went missing. So today she is like in high school. She has the same writing teacher that Franchesca had years ago. And her writing teacher made all of her students write a journal every day that they're in class. So she still had Francesca's journal and gave it to her daughter.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. So that's just a little bit of information that's current that happened related to the case. That's pretty cool.
Was that,
Wow.
wait, I'm sorry. I'm not. I mean, that's all very nice, but I thought you were going to give us some grand conclusion.
No. I said it was no. That's what I'm saying. That's why I waited till the very end to throw that out there because like it's unrelated, but it's not like
okay.
You know, right. It's kind of neat. Yeah. Aw. But I mean, again, so this was when she was in high school, so this was not during.
Okay.
This. So, I mean, it's as far as information she probably read on there, it's probably just a bunch of good things that her mom has to say or whatever teen problems were. But I thought that was kind of cool.
I met this guy, William.
She opens it up to page 1. Dear diary, I sure hope I never get sex trafficked.
I met this really nice boy named William today.
Dear diary, sex was not what I thought it was.
Oh my.
Tomorrow I'm going to get something called gangbanged.
I'm about to say something. This is so messed up, man.
I'm not sure what oxycodone is, but I took some yesterday. It was great.
He sure likes trains. He keeps talking about the railroad.
I'm never going to take these shoes off. I love them that much. Oh my God.
I so apologize to anybody for this tragedy on behalf of Singed Eye Sockets.
God, man.
Jesus.
Oh man.
I feel
so I mean, I don't know. This is a first episode we've done that had sex trafficking kind of involved. We did the one with
right?
the younger girl that disappeared. But we don't know. This one, there's a little bit more light into it. So, but I thought it was a good case because it's not it was a very small case. Like it wasn't one of these bigger ones that we've discussed. So I thought it was kind of cool.
I think it was
room to extrapolate here.
Yeah,
plenty of room.
I think it was a concealed case. I think there was a lot that was covered up in order to keep a lot from being exposed.
Well, in Atlanta, I imagine that it's just Vegas, Atlantic City, any of these big tourists. A lot of this, I mean, it happens in our cities where we live now, but these are probably prime hotspots for this kind of stuff. So I can't be that rare.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the evidence points towards the sex trafficking idea. I still think that this maybe started out as a getaway plan and fell into something totally different. Because I mean, if you think about 22 years old, you got a toddler, you have another one on the way. You're like the head of household for this a bunch of younger people in the household with you, and seems like it seems very chaotic. Seems like you could use a fresh start. Seems like maybe you had an opening. Somebody maybe gave you an opening.
Yeah. Well, and I think
you took it, and it went sour.
The toughest part for me was that the biggest clues that you get are from the hotel security guy and some random teen that wasn't really related to it because it was shortly after.
Right.
But like, this is your only like prime information that you have to run off of, because you're not getting anything out of Tracy. And then, like I said, there's Jarrell and William and them, but none of them like were directly attached to the killing. Like you can't point it on any of them.
Oh my God. It's like everything we say, directly attached, not attached. The guy's name is Jarrell. That's Superman's dad's name, right? Like this is like everything about this damn case. It's like it showed up in a Converse, and
I still want to know more information about this older guy that she went to the city with.
Yeah.
Tracy, right?
We know that he was involved with William and the roommate. So I mean,
and
he could have been part of this whole thing.
And he had 2 young kids, right? Oldest being 10. You said,
oldest was 10. Yeah.
And so why weren't
and they did and they talked to them too, and they did what he said correlated with that. But if he's involved in trafficking, he could probably be a very abusive piece of shit and told them to say whatever. So I mean, there's really not much you can go with off of that,
unless like he is earned his immunity from his family being touched in some degree because he has done something for that organization in the past.
Right.
So
He
maybe
might be a courier.
Yeah, he's
Like
earned
he's-
some sort of protection because he's a cog in the machine,
Mm-hmm.
and he was, I don't know. That goes back to it all being one full.
I mean, he could be one of the guys that goes out there and finds a girl. It's like being all sweet and nice to him just to lure him in.
Right.
Just that sweet old guy, and then William and them show up and they're like, all right, well, here's what's going down.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds pretty feasible because if you think about it, like you get these ladies from Philly, all right, this blue collar town, ship them out to the coast. It's an hour away, and it is. I mean, it's a very transient population out there. It's just like the comedy clubs. Like there's one out there, standupcomedyclub.com. They could run shows out there, and it's like every night of the week, 7 days a week, you will have the same comics and different audiences every night because there's so much like visitor traffic there. So the population is constantly moving, right? And caught up in that sweeping wave of switching, people, right? That is probably an easy way to disappear somebody. But I think probably what happened, and to what you're saying, if like we go with your theory that she was trying to escape, maybe she had the promise of escape, gets out there, finds out it's not escape, that she's going to be sex trafficked. She's not, I mean, she was 110 pounds, but she's also 5'7", so she's not a small woman, right? 5'7" on me is just like about right here, because I'm 6 foot, right?
Right.
So she puts up a fuss, and they end that real quick, and she gets dumped somewhere offshore.
Won't be very hard, not at her size.
110 pounds, real easy. Throw some weights around it. She goes down. She's rotting. Like you said, no distress. It just pulled apart, starts floating up on the shore. That's why we're seeing pieces. Yeah, that seems probably the most plausible.
Wow.
It also brings some light to the fact that this is pretty recent and these are things that are currently going on. So, it's a good topic to kind of touch base on because, I mean, it happens every day. So,
oh, dude, it's crazy. There's all kinds of trafficking scams. One of the newest ones is the dudes will get vests from Walmart with like name tags, and they'll walk up to girls and they'll be like, hey, do you have a, like a red Accord? I'm like, yeah, okay. Is a license plate this, and this? Yeah. You're getting towed right now. And the idea is to get them running outside, and their employees and
wow.
Yeah, and Walmart will tell you like we do not have people coming up and saying that, and they tell them be careful to women grabbing the handles of your cars because they'll put some sort of like substances under the handles where like if you grab it, it will leach into the skin and you'll pass out. Like people have to be careful. Like women have to be careful. Dudes too, but I mean women especially.
I have heard a lot of these particular scenarios, like you're at Target and you're in the makeup section and a girl will come up and start befriending you. Oh, what kind do you use? I use this, blah, blah, blah. They begin walking the store together, like that kind of thing. And then they walk out to their car together and like they've got her in a position where she can't get away. Or I've also heard of like where they'll leave like a baby stroller out in the middle of a road, like a dark road or something with like a baby in it, like crying baby. And if you get out of that car, like done for.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
This is all happening at Walmart, huh?
Well, just in general.
Yeah.
In general. But I mean, first thing, if you ever just see a crying baby somewhere, your best bet is just leave it alone. All right.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Run it over with your car. Nobody
just nudge the stroller out of the way.
Bump it into the ditch. There's a problem for the garbage guy tomorrow. This is the "We Are Going to Hell" episode.
Oh man, this is a pretty rough end of the show.
Oh man.
Oh,
It's
we'll be
great.
okay.
I love it. I love it.
Oh.
Hey Janet, I appreciate you tuning in tonight and throwing in some of your comments as well.
Very funny.
Thomas, thank you for coming on tonight. This show's a lot of fun. We love doing it, and the stories, especially ones like this, leave me more frustrated than anything. Only because there's so much that you don't know.
Right.
But I don't know why I enjoy these so much, man. I love doing the research. I love looking into it and discussing it with you guys. And I think so. When I first started Sin Jedi, it was like Perception Podcast. I did my first episode with Sean, and we talked about a dropped wallet scenario. And then, yes, which was great. And then we did a cold case file, and it sunk, man. It felt so good. So that's kind of the way we've gone. But it's meant to be perceptive. That's why I kind of throw in these curveballs to try and change people's mindsets of this case and kind of see where we end up by the end of it. And I love it. We've got a lot of great feedback on it, and I just want to see it continue to grow.
Awesome. Yeah. I love doing this with you guys. So yeah, anytime you need somebody, please give me a ring, because I like of course my mind will always go very, very dark very, very quickly. It's just the way man. So I will run down that hole, and
it's a lot of fun.
I don't want to scare anybody. I promised my wife I wouldn't talk about killing anybody tonight. So here we are.
Sex trafficking and
I don't think you scared anybody. We're down in the hole with our miners' helmets on, going, no, come on down. No, it'll be great. It's all evil down here.
In good company,
look at this tibia I just found. Don't worry about it. It doesn't mean anything.
Oh my goodness.
Just throw it in the pile with the rest of those bones I found.
Yeah, we'll see what else comes up.
The Jersey Shore foot pile. God.
That's our lost and found bin, actually. It's just
all no, put that in the femur bin.
Oh my goodness.
Evolution, you got anything you want to say before we wrap it all up?
You know, this has been something else. I tell you what, you just got to be careful of who you surround yourself with,
right?
Because you just never know. A trip of the weekend can end up being the end of everything. So yeah, just don't take trips with 50-year-old men, and stay away from guys they call jinx.
Oh, you go by jinx. Cool. Let me get your number.
Oh man,
Sean, what do you got, man?
Dude, this was a frustrating one. Like you said, I generally feel like at the end of these, we come to some sort of decent conclusion where everybody feels kind of good about where we land. I don't feel good about where we landed on this, just simply because I think we all know what happened. Like maybe it's not 100% from any one of the four of us, but I think as a collective, all the pieces that we put together, the pieces that we put together, just don't equal up to good news at the end of it. Right. And the fact that it is so prolific with the human trafficking, it's kind of scary. And yeah, it's frustrating. But I also feel very dirty, because I'm still trying to hold back the laughter at most of the shit that has been said tonight. Because I know there's a family out there hurting. So the compassionate side of me just feels so bad for those folks. But the dark evil side of me is inside just going, picturing like the foot bin and all the other horrible things that we've discussed tonight. So I'm just living a duality.
That's a fair way to wrap it up, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I don't. We don't know. Like we know, but we don't. Like there's too many hands involved to know exactly who, or if it was all of them, But the fact that with the evidence we do know, there's just no concrete anything. And like you said, the laughing and all that stuff, it does almost make you feel kind of upset with yourself, but I don't know. I don't know. You got to have a little bit of humor in life.
Oh yeah. It's the light and the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can't laugh about stuff like in this subject matter, then you're not going to make it.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of Senjai Sakas. You know,
yeah.
you get to know us, and you know, we try to come about it as real as we can, and not from a perception of we're family friendly. Boom! That's how we're wrapping this episode up, everybody. Until next time, we'll see everybody around.